afternoon. It is noon here, and that means it's time for our regular Friday Lunch and Learn with me, your host, Dr. Polly Heil-Mealey at Abundant Health and Wellness in downtown Humble. So we're glad you're here. We started talking last week about the Schumann wave. We started talking about the electromagnetic pulse of the Earth's frequency, and how we can tune into that. So if you were here last week, you got a little bit of that. If you weren't here last week, you can catch up on our YouTube channel, and so we'll be able to help you with that. But I wanted to kind of talk about that, but also talk about the electromagnetic frequencies and what it does to our microglia in the brain, okay? Because it's the microglia cells in the brain that help our immune system. And so if we are bombarded by geopathic stress, by electromagnetic frequencies, 5G and that kind of thing, then it's going to upset our resonance, and it's going to upset what's going on in our brain and in our immune system. So I want to talk to you a little bit about that this week as well. So just to kind of remind people that didn't see us last week, or to remind you, if you did see us last week, the Schumann wave is a very, very low frequency wave. And these are the waves that are between the Earth and the ionosphere, okay? So it makes like a little cavity over the Earth, and it is the frequency of the Earth. It is also a healing frequency. When we vibrate or we are attuned to that frequency, then we stay in health. And there are some easy ways that we can do that. One of the ways, when I was doing some research this week, one of the ways that I found out that people actually teach their children, these are the Balinese people, and they teach their children to vibrate parts of their body, okay, harmonizing it to the Schumann wave cycle. You can do the same thing. You may already do it unconsciously. If you sit in a chair and move your foot so it is resting on the ball of the foot, you get it at the right angle, your whole leg will just start to vibrate. It goes into an oscillation, and this oscillation is so close to the Schumann resonance cycle as to be virtually the same. It says in this article that the Balinese people teach their children how to do that, so they are always grounded, okay? So as a little girl, I used to shake my leg a lot. And so when I read this and I was looking at that, and I thought, oh my goodness, I was doing this even when I was a little girl. And so I just took off my shoe and got on the ball of my foot, and sure enough, my leg just started, doing that little oscillatory frequency thing. And that does ground you, and that makes you feel more peaceful. That makes you line up or get in sync with the healing vibrations of the Earth. So this is a great thing to do. We have other devices that you can do that with. We've got things here in the clinic that you can do that with, but you can do it at home just with yourself, and it's a really, really good thing to do. I know that there are also on YouTube, there are also kind of musical channels that have different frequencies, and they'll have frequencies for sleep, and they'll have frequencies for energy and all that kind of thing. And so you want to be looking at that, because if you are not entrained properly with the right frequencies, then you're not going to feel well. So I want to say that in the brain, these are the different, we talked about this last week, these are the different brain frequencies, the brain waves. You've got your delta, your theta, your alpha, your beta, and your high beta, or sometimes they call it gamma, just depending on what kind of device you're working with. So these brain waves are all very, very close to, and some are within the Schumann frequency. And so when we are entrained, when we are aligned with that vibration, then everything just works better for us. So we want to be able to do that. We want to make sure that we do this. Now, this is some other information that you can do. Of course, this is a big textbook that I have, but it says that frequency, okay, our bodies are made out of frequency. Frequency is light, but it is also sound. So those of us who do a lot of music therapy, if you go to the theater, you go to the symphony, you really like to listen to orchestras and that kind of thing, what you are doing is you are tuning your whole body, okay? So we don't really think about this, right? But your blood vibrates to the key of E. All right, so everybody go back to your piano days, right? Every good boy does fine when you're doing your scales, right? So the key of E, that is the same frequency that your blood vibrates to. Your adrenals vibrate to the key of B. Your kidneys, E flat. Your bladder, E flat, and your liver, E flat. So both of those vibrate at the same frequency. Your intestines, large and small, vibrate to the key of F. So you can find all this information on the web, okay? When you are listening to music, and we're talking about good music, then you are actually tuning up your body so it makes your body work better, more effectively, more efficiently, and you're helping your immune system. So just kind of wanted to bring that out because people think, yeah, music, whatever. Music is really, really important. When you are listening to music that is very harmonious, it lifts your spirit, it makes you feel good. Well, that's because you're tuning up your organs. When you're listening to heavy metal music that is has a dissonance to it, it makes you feel irritable, it makes you feel agitated. Well, it is because it's bringing you out of alignment, out of attunement. And so that's something that you need to think about when you're putting music on in your house. Now, I want to segue to your microglia cells in your brain and what they do and how they need to be at the right frequency. And this is a Schumann wave, right? So that the body can do what it needs to do and your brain can keep you healthy, okay? It says a lot of us do not realize that the brain has its own immune system. The microglia, okay, which are the brain's immune system cells, are involved in everything from brain development to also protecting against diseases such as meningitis and Alzheimer's. But for all the good these cells do for us, under the wrong conditions, they can also cause us harm. What are the wrong conditions? The wrong conditions is being in the wrong frequency, right? So this is why we have to be really careful about electromagnetic smog. If you go to YouTube, and I've posted this myself on some of my YouTube videos, there is, and you have to look for it. It's there, but you have to look for it. Electromagnetic smog, there's all kind. You have a vast array of YouTube videos. Some are very, very scientific. They're 2 or 3 hours long. Nobody's got time for that if you're not studying that for your schooling. But there's a real short 2 or 3 minute little video. It's in black and white. It was done in the 70s, I think. And what it shows is what happens when you sit at a computer and what that electromagnetic frequency does to your blood. She also shows what it does when you have a cell phone and you're on your cell phone for 30 minutes, I think it is. And so it shows you in real time what happens to your blood. And so you want to look at that because your whole body resonates either good or bad with whatever electromagnetic frequencies that you're getting. So we always want to be grounding ourselves. We always want to be getting back into that Schumann wave frequency so that the brain does what the brain wants to do, all right? The microglia perform numerous functions. They help neurons connect. They clean the brain of waste and dead cells, okay? They constantly check everything is in order and defend the brain from external threats such as microbes and internal threats including misfolded proteins. Now, a misfolded protein is a DNA cell or a DNA SNP that's gone bad, okay? It's just folded the wrong way. So the brain, when it sees that, it goes in and it eats it up because they don't want that particular part of the DNA to replicate itself, okay? So misfolded proteins, that's what that means. You can Google this, you can look at it yourself, okay? Microglial functions are especially crucial during brain development when they help the young neurons grow and ensure that the right connections are made between the neurons. They are involved in pruning, all right? This is when brain development has been linked with disorders such as schizophrenia and autism. All right? The brain, the microglia will go in and snip out the bad connections so the brain works the way it is supposed to. Uncontrollable pruning, okay, by the microglia in the adult brain has been implicated in developing diseases such as Alzheimer's. Now, why is that? Well, in Alzheimer's, there are amyloid plaques. These are the misfolded proteins that are in the brain, and the microglia is supposed to go in there and clean them out. And sometimes it just gets too overactive and it does some other things and it doesn't clean out the amyloid beta plaques. Curcuminoids will do that, okay? So if you have older people and they're having issues with dementia or Alzheimer's, there's multiple diseases that go into mental decline, okay? Alzheimer's is one of them, and it has the beta-amyloid plaques. Other misfolded proteins can also cause age-related dementia, but you can go in there. We've got supplements that have been proven to go in there and take care of that. There is heavy metal deposits in the brain that can cause dementia and that kind of thing. And if the microglia are not doing their job, then the toxic load that's in the brain doesn't get cleaned out. What affects the way the microglia operate? Electromagnetic smog. I hope I have said this enough times that we all get the understanding that if we don't protect ourselves from the new technology that we're getting, and girlfriends, I love technology. I absolutely love it. I'm so thankful I've got an iPad. I'm so thankful I've got a cell phone. I'm thankful that, we don't have to go to the card catalog anymore in the library, right? We can just Google everything, and all of my English students will laugh at that because we used to teach that you go and do that. Now that we've got all this technology, things are so much easier. Things are so much, just at the snap of a finger, you can have whatever kind of information that you want, which is awesome. But you have to protect yourself. You have to protect your brain, all right? Microglia have specific receptors on the surface that recognize the distress signals from other cells. These signals attract the microglia to the side of the problem. When the brain's balance is disturbed, usually as a result of inflammation, okay, the neurons can become stressed and produce these signals. Now, what irritates the brain? 5G, electromagnetic smog, your microwave, okay, dissonant music, as I said a while ago. Also, vaccinations cause irritation in the brain, cause inflammation in the brain. Why is that? Because of the adjuvants that they put in there. The aluminum, the mercury, the thimerosal, the formaldehyde, all of those kind of things are irritants. They cause inflammation in the brain. They do cross the blood-brain barrier. And so when that happens, the microglia come to the attention and they try and take care of that. So inflammation in the brain can be caused by stress, by pathogens, and autoimmune conditions, which are also connected to inflammation in other parts of the body, okay? Basic brain inflammation is common in neurodegenerative diseases, even including depression. Okay, so all of us, especially where we are right now in COVID crazy, all of us are a little bit depressed. Now, on my personal page, Polly Heil-Mealey, and it's a public post. It's not just private. Most of my posts on my private page, most of my posts only my friends and family can see. But this one, I made it a public post because it is so, so important. And it is a YouTube video by a lady, and she calls herself Amazing Polly. No relation, okay? She doesn't look like me. She's blonde, she's beautiful, and she's really, really good. But this particular one is one that is talking about depression, talking about our mental attitude going through this COVID crazy, and how really we're putting ourselves at risk for immune issues because of everything that's going on. It's about a 30-minute video. I highly, highly recommend that you go to it and you look at it. I'll try and put it in the comments at the end of this video because it's so important. She's got a lot of documentation there that will prove what she's saying is correct. She's very, very good, and I appreciate all the work that she does because it's very pertinent to what we're going on today. But one of the things she says is that we are all so super hyper focused on not getting sick that we're actually making ourselves sick. And so when we're under that kind of stress, it affects the microglia in the brain, and that sets up inflammatory response, and that sets up damage to the brain's immune system. So we have to be really, really careful. We have to be really, really wise in this, okay? There are cases, as with chronic stress, right, chronic stress, what we just talked about, aging and neurodegenerative disease where the microglia can become more aggressive and less easy to regulate, making them even more dangerous for the brain. In these cases, the microglia can increase in numbers, unnecessarily killing more brain cells, and they may contribute to making the brain even more inflamed by secreting inflammatory molecules, right? They also don't easily go back to their protective role. So this is something that's really, really important. We have to do a lot of self-care. With my patients, I'm always talking about self-care. With my children and my mom and my dad, I'm talking about self-care. I'm really conscious of self-care because we're just living in a crazy time where there's just a lot of stress. If you're in our area, which is the South Coast, South Texas coast, we've got a hurricane on the way. So we're going to be on the dirty side, which means we're going to have a lot of rain. On the past few years, we've had quite a lot of flooding. So everybody is shell-shocked with rain. And so a normal occurrence that normally wouldn't cause any problem is going to be hypersensitive because of our past. So all of us need to have our shoes off, have our foot on the ball of our foot, and be vibrating that leg so that we stay in sync with the Schumann resonance. Okay, we need to do that. We need to practice that every day as part of our self-care. Grounding. You can ground by just going outside in your bare feet and standing on the ground. You can stand on a wooden surface. Any natural material will ground you, okay? So you want to make sure that you do that from time to time. You can buy grounding mats, you can buy grounding cushions, you can buy all kinds of things, but you don't need to buy anything. You just need to go outside and reconnect with the gravitational pull of the earth with the Schumann wave, okay? That's what grounding is all about, and it's very, very healthy. Very healthy. Now, what else can you do? You need to look after your brain, okay? You need to maintain a healthy diet. So what does that mean? You want to be on an anti-inflammatory diet. Nothing that is genetically modified, and that means nothing in a box or a package. That means no fast food. That might even need to mean nothing in a restaurant, okay? So we always know that people that are in business to make money. And the restaurants are not necessarily, unless they're known for producing organic foods, they're not known necessarily for doing that. And so they're going to get whatever they can get and get the best profit margin. I mean, that's what people in business do. And so what we want to make sure is that we're not getting genetically modified foods. If we're cooking at home, we don't want to use canola oil. We don't want to use corn oil. We don't want to use safflower oil. Why is that? Because all of those are genetically modified. If they're genetically modified, they have heavy metals in it. Heavy metals cross the blood-brain barrier and irritate the brain. So you can kind of see how we're going with this. All right, I don't want to be the food Nazi and tell you what to eat and what not to eat, but at the same time, we need to make sure that we're eating the things that we need to eat so that we can stay healthy, okay? Keep your gut bacteria healthy, okay? The brain and the gut are connected via the vagus nerve. And we've talked about this just a few weeks ago. We talked about this on a YouTube video. All right. Microbes living in our gut have a large effect on the brain. There are microorganisms involved in the development, maintenance, and overall health of the microglia. Avoid alcohol and avoid smoking, okay? A recent study found that one of the ways that the brain works, what activates the microglia's inflammatory response is alcohol and smoking. Research shows that this activation is specifically due to a specific compound found in cigarette smoke. Now, they didn't say what that compound is, but I'm going to tell you that it is cadmium. Cadmium, if you have kidney issues and you have protein leakage, okay, this is kind of a specific thing, but somebody out there might need to know this because you've got your blood work and your doctor is saying you've got protein leakage in your urine. It is most probably because you have an overabundance of cadmium in the tissues, and that's a heavy metal toxicity situation, and it will cause you to have some microglia problems, so we don't want to do that. Okay, sleep. The microglia never sleep, but they clean and repair the brain and improve memory while you do. Lack of sleep, however, has also been shown to make the microglia take on their inflammatory form. And remember, once they're in the inflammatory form, it's really hard to get them back to the beneficial form. So we want to make sure that we practice good sleep hygiene. Now, I know, again, this is crazy because we're all in Corona crazy. Schools have been out for months. I think they're going to be virtual anyway. A lot of the parents that I sit across the table with, when the children are in school and they're on a routine, they have a decent bedtime. When it's the weekend, when it's the summer, when it's school holidays, they don't have a decent bedtime. They let them stay up all the time. They let them stay up until they're ready to go to bed. Because why? It doesn't matter. We've got nothing to do. We're not on a time schedule. Because why? We're on vacation. It's the summer. It's COVID crazy. Fill in the blank, okay? But when you do that, you're not sleeping at the right time, and so the regenerative processes that sleep brings to the different cells in the body is not happening because we're not resting, we're not giving our body that time that it needs to repair and rejuvenate because we're not going to bed at a decent hour. Now, I don't want to be the sleep Nazi either. Google the circadian rhythms of the human body, and it will tell you between this hour and this hour, this organ gets regenerated. Between this hour and this hour, that organ gets regenerated. And so you'll see throughout the nighttime hours, different systems are being regulated and repaired. If you're up all night, you're letting your children be up all night, then you're robbing yourself of that regenerative pattern, and so you're going to not age well. You're going to have some serious difficulties as you get older because you've not been wise with your body. So just giving you that information there. Take care of your mental health. The microglia can sense stress and they respond to it by turning into their inflammatory form. This form is present in numerous neuropsychological disorders and also in some cases of mental health issues such as depression. And I will just tell you, right now, the whole world is depressed. Nothing is normal. People are tired of the mask. People are tired of not being able to go out and eat and drink. People are tired of all the things that they're tired of, and it is depressing. And so the whole world is depressed. This depression sets up the microglia to go into that inflammatory response, okay? It has been shown that the anti-inflammatory treatment can help with managing the symptoms of psychiatric disorders, and also some medications used in the treatment of mental health issues also have anti-inflammatory elements. Well, we've got several things here in the clinic that will help you with anti-inflammatory processes. Mainly, we've got a homeopathic, it's for the brain, it's for traumatic brain injury, it's for microglia disruption. We've got a homeopathic product for that. I don't have it on my desk. I've been busy this morning. We've had nonstop patients in here, so I don't have it, but I have it here in the clinic. If you call us, if you come in, we can certainly get you that. But also, CBD is awesome for anti-inflammatory responses in the brain. You want to make sure that you get a good brand. You want to make sure that you get a brand that is certified organic. You want to make sure that you get a brand that gives you the specs to make sure that you're having less than 3% THC. So we've got a couple of brands here in the clinic. I've got one of the brands on my website. You just go to www.pollyheil-mealey.com and you can order right there. And if you order from the website, you're going to save 20% of what you would pay here in the clinic. So if stress, if depression, if the aging brain, if all of those things are things that you or your loved ones are fighting, then that CBD is going to it's going to really help you. Now, I just want to say something about this because I had a lady come in this week who was on CBG oil. Now, let me show you this real quick. I didn't plan on telling you, but I never plan what I'm going to talk about. I just talk. Here is, I don't know if you can see all this. This is all of the different components. It's a chart. Something just fell off my desk. This is something, these are all the different components in CBD. We do, and we recommend a broad spectrum CBD. And the reason I do that is because each of the different components in the CBD oil have a different function on your endocannabinoid system. So this is really, really important. My patient came in and she just was on CBG, okay? CBG, G as in golden, all right? She was given this by, I don't know, some health professional to help with anxiety. Well, when you look at the chart, CBG helps to help you fall asleep. It helps to renew bone growth. It helps to slow down bacterial growth, and it may inhibit cancer growth. It has nothing to do with anxiety, okay? Now, is CBG a bad oil to take? Oh, no, it's not bad. But if you're taking a CBD product, you want to have all of the components together. Why is that? Because your endocannabinoid system is really large. It's vast. It has a lot of different components in there, and the way God made the plant complete to work on the whole system. So that's what we want you to do. Now, I asked her, I said, are you sleeping? She says, I'm sleeping really well, but my anxiety is out the roof. I said, well, that's why, because you're only doing that little sliver of that plant oil. You want to be doing the whole thing. So I don't want to get off on that tangent because that's not what I was talking about. I was talking about your microglia and depression and that kind of thing. The other thing that's really, really good for inflammation in the brain is exercise. Nobody wants to exercise, and so many of the gyms are still closed. They want you to go with a mask and all that kind of stuff. I'm not into the mask. I'm just going to tell you that. There have been zero double-blind, control, randomized tests that say a mask of any kind will stop a respiratory viral infection. So you can look it up for yourself. I've looked it up. I've heard several doctors talk about it. There are zero tests that show that wearing a mask will stop a viral infection. So for that reason, I don't wear a mask. There are several tests out there that show that when you do wear a mask, that you're breathing your nasty bacteria and carbon dioxide into the mask, then you're rebreathing it. We talked about this last week, and you can even get the bacteria up the olfactory nerve into the brain, cross the blood-brain barrier, and then you're in a lot of trouble. So we're not doing that, okay? Just, you can do what you want to do, but I'm not doing that. So a recent review found exercise directly affects the microglia and shifts them toward having a protective form. So this is why a lot of people, my late husband was one of them, when he would get stressed, he would go out and run. he would just run, and he would run like 5 to 10 miles a day, and it really did help with his stress response. So I know a lot of people that go to the gym and they exercise, and it helps with their stress response, and this is why, because it turns the microglia back into its protective form. Exercising the brain has also been shown to train the microglia to resist Alzheimer's disease, okay? There are a lot of things that you can do. If you need products, we have them. If you've had a brain injury that has caused inflammation and stress in the brain, we've got products specifically for that, homeopathic products. If you're dealing with stress and depression, lack of sleep, all those kind of things, CBD is great for that. You can get it here in the clinic, or you can buy it off the website. And like I said, if you get it off the website, you're going to get 20% off, because that's just what that company does. So you can look for that under the links at the top of the page. And as you pull it down, it'll say, not links, products. You pull it down. I think Green Compass is the brand. And Leslie's already mentioned that. And it is just right there. And it is amazing. I use it. I use it every day. They've got the broad spectrum. They also have the isolated CBD just by itself. And if you look here at the chart, CBD just by itself does a lot of things, okay? If you have a job that you're going to be drug tested and that kind of thing, and you're really concerned about the 0.3% THC on it, you can get the isolate. I don't particularly like it. I feel different when I take that as to when I take the full spectrum. The full spectrum is just much, much better. Okay, so that's my 2 cents. Thank you guys for joining me. I appreciate you. Be good to yourself. Stay dry this weekend and try to de-stress. Practice good brain microglia health, okay, because we want that immune system to work on all levels. We want it to work in the brain. We want it to work in the gut. And for that to happen, you need to be entrained in the Schumann wave. Okay, so what are you going to do? You're going to take your shoe off, you're going to be on the ball of your foot, and you're going to vibrate that leg, because it's going to entrain you into the earth's healing frequency. Okay, that's all from me. Have a great weekend. Love you. Bye.